Today we will be solving two-step equations. And so let's take a look at our first problem here. It says 3v minus 12 equals 15. So in order to solve, what we want to do is isolate the variable. So the variable is v, so we want to get it by itself. So it's kind of like a present. We're unwrapping the present. Typically when you put a present into a box, then you wrap it. And so now we're going to do the opposite. Now we're taking that present out of the box. So we first have to unwrap it. So we're going to do the reverse of order of operation. So this is a minus 12. So I want to add 12 to both sides of this equation. And so as long as I do the same thing on both sides of the equation, I'm not changing the value of the equation. So now I've got 3v equals 27. So from this point, now I've got one more step. I need to divide by 3. See, 3 is being multiplied by v. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 3, and that will cancel out these 3's. But if I divide by 3 on the left, I need to divide by 3 on the right. So now this is what I have. I've got v equals, and then 27 divided by 3 makes 9. So that would be our answer. V equals 9. But let's check our answer and make sure it makes sense. So we can always check to see if we have the right answer by substituting the 9 back in for v. So let's check and make sure it was right. So 3, but in place of v, we're going to put 9. Now I put the parentheses around it to show that the 3 is being multiplied by the 9. And then I'm going to take away 12 and see if it equals 15. Well, I multiply that, I get 27, and then minus 12 equals 15. So notice that we had 27 to start with, and then I divided by 3 to get the 9. So now I multiplied by 3, I got back at the 27, and then when I subtract these two numbers, I get 15. And so when the two numbers equal, that means, yes, we are right. It's right. So because the two numbers equal, we know we have the right answer. If the two numbers did not equal, then we'd have the wrong answer. We'd have to go back and check our work. So taking a look at our next problem, what's different is the constant right here, the constant is the number without a variable term, is on the left side of this expression. So we just follow what the operation says. It's a positive 8, so I need to take away 8. Now I know it's positive because there's no sign in front of the 8. And so I bring down that 5x, and it equals negative 10. Careful here because you see the signs are the same, so I end up having to add those two numbers, so I end up with negative 10 there. Now I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides. And so when I do that, now I've got this. I've got x equals negative 2. So this is my answer I think I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that. But I'm going to check my work to see if I did it right. And so now I'm going to take that negative 2 and put it in for this x. So I'm going to rewrite the 8 plus 5. But now I'm going to multiply the 5 by negative 2. So I use the dot this time to represent multiplication. And see if it equals negative 2. So I go ahead and do some work there. Multiply these two, I get negative 10 plus 8 equals negative 2. So I subtract here, I get negative 2 equals negative 2. And the two numbers equal, so I know it's right. Let's take a look at our next problem here. What's different about this is now we have the variable divided by a number. It's the same sort of thing though. We're going to do an opposite operation first. So 9 is negative here, or it's minus 9, so I'm going to do the opposite of a minus, which is plus. So I go ahead and do that work. Bring down that d divided by 4. Now this equals 6. Now how did I get 6? Well, I subtracted because they're opposite in sign. More positives than negatives, so that means that it's going to be a positive 6. So now what I need to do is I need to multiply this by 4 on both sides. So multiply this by 4. So you see how these 4's will cross cancel here. So now what I'm left with is d equals 24. So that's my answer. I'm pretty sure that's correct, but we need to check to see if it is correct. So I'm going to take that 24, put it in for this d. So 24 divided by 4 minus the 9 equals negative 3. So I'm going to divide first, so that makes 6. 6 minus 9 makes negative 3. So the two numbers agree. So I know I'm right. Let's take a look at our next one. Same sort of problem, except this time we have a minus 4 here, so I'm going to have to add 4 to both sides. So now I've got this s divided by 3 equals 6. So I'm doing an opposite operation. So In order to cancel out this 3, I need to multiply by 3. So you can see if I write that as a fraction, see how those 3's will cross cancel. But I got to do the same thing on this side. So 3 is the same thing as 3 over 1. So I multiplied by 3. So I have S equals 18. So there's my answer. But let's check it, see if it's right. So 18 divided by 3 minus 4 equals 2. So I go ahead and do some work there. 18 divided by 3 makes 6. 6 minus 4, yes, that does equal 2. 2 equals 2. So it does check off. Let's take a look at our next one here. So we have a positive 5, so we're going to subtract 5 from all sides. And so when I do that, now I'm left with this C divided by 2 equals negative 4. So I made a mistake there, so let's fix that. So negative 4 because I have more negatives and positives, and I have to subtract because they're opposite in sign. So now I'm going to get rid of this 2. So to get rid of that 2, I need to multiply by 2, because it was division to start with, C divided by 2 here. So multiply by 2 to cancel that 2 out. So let's see what's left over. We got C equals negative 8. So now I know that's my answer, but let's check it to make sure it's correct. So to check it, we're just substituting it back in to the variable, negative 8 in for the C. So negative 8 divided by 2 plus 5 equals 1. And so we do some work there. So negative 8 divided by 2 makes negative 4 plus 5. And sure enough, negative 4 plus 5 makes 1. And 1 does equal 1. So yes, it checks. Last problem here. We're going to end up, of this type at least, subtracting 9 from both sides. It's a positive 9, so we need to take it away. So what we've got left is this A divided by 6 equals negative 1. So from that point, we're going to go ahead and multiply by this 6 on both sides, so times by 6. And so now what we have is this A equaling negative 6. So we're pretty sure this is our answer, so let's go ahead and circle it, and let's check. So to check that, we're just going to substitute that negative 6 back in for A. So 9 plus negative 6 divided by 6 equals 8. 9 plus negative 1, negative 1 because negative 6 divided by 6 makes negative 1. 9 plus negative 1 makes 8. The two numbers agree, so yes, it does check off. Taking a look at our last problem here, a word problem that talks about an electrician charges $50 to come to your house. So that's like a fee. It's a fee that you're going to pay no matter what. And so now we have, he also charges $25 for each hour. Now when you see the word each, this is a clue that now we're talking about the variable. So there's a variable in here. It depends on how many hours he charges or he spends at your house. And so it says that the electrician's total was $125. How many hours? So that's the question. So the question is the number of hours. So this is our unknown, h, let's say. We don't know how many hours. So let's try setting up an equation. We've got the cost. So the cost equals, and then we have this fee to start with, and this $25 for each hour. So let's start with this $25 per hour. $25 for every hour. So we're going to take the $25 and multiply it by the number of hours that we end up using it. Because after 1 hour, it's 25. 2 hours, it's 50. 3 hours, it's 75. 4 hours, it's $100. So we want to figure out how many hours that is. So we're going to use a variable to figure out that amount. Plus the fee equals the cost. Well, the cost was $125, so we could put that in place of cost. So let's go ahead and rewrite our equation now. 25h plus 50 equals 125. So we can go ahead and use opposite operations now. So subtract that 50 from both sides. Take away that 50 from this side. And so now we've got 75 equals 25h. And so from this point, we could go ahead and divide by 25, and we'd have our answer. So divide by 25 on this side, and so h equals 3. So 3 hours is what we're saying the answer is, but let's check. Let's take that 3 hours and put it back in for h here. So 125 equals 25 times by 3 plus 50. So 25 times by 3 makes 75. So Think of quarters. 3 quarters makes 75 cents. Plus 50, and see if that equals 125. Well, when I add those two numbers together, 75 and 50 do equal 125, so it checks out. So yes, that is the correct answer. Well, those are the problems you'll see on tonight's homework. Good luck.